Hare Krishna. Good morning from ISKCON Hong Kong. I'm Sravaniya Dasi. And today we are reading from Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 17, texts 4 and 5. Thank you for joining us today. Namo Vishnu Paraya Krishna Prasthaya Bhutale Srimati Bhaktivedanta Swamini Tinamani Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharani Nirvishesha Shunyavani Bhajajaya. Let's get started. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Narayanam Namaskritya Narang Chaiva Narottamam Devim Sarasatim Vyasam Tato Jayamudirayet. So today's topic is the king confronts the criminal. And in today's verses, Maharaja Pariksit confronts the personification of Kali-yuga. Seated on his gold-embossed chariot, the king demands the Sudra, who is illegally dressed as a king, to stop torturing the helpless cow and bull, condemning him for such violence against those who are under the king's royal protection. Now let's explore today's verses and purports. Text number 4. Papracharatam arudha kartasvara parichadam mega gambiraya vacha samaropita karmuka. Translation and purport by His Divine Grace, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Srila Prabhupada. Maharaja Pariksit, well equipped with arrows and bow, and seated on a gold-embossed chariot, spoke to him, the Sudra, with a deep voice, sounding like thunder. Purport. An administrative head or king like Maharaja Pariksit, with full majestic authority, well equipped with weapons to chastise miscreants, can challenge the agents of the age of Kali. Then only will it be possible to counteract the degraded age. And in the absence of such strong executive heads, there's always disruption of tranquility. The elected show bottle executive head, as representative of a degraded public, cannot be equal with a strong king like Maharaja Pariksit. The dress or style of royal order does not count. It is one's actions which are counted. Text number 5. Kastvam achcharane loke baladhang siya balan bali Naradevo si veshena nattavat karmana dvijaha. Maharaj Pariksit said, "Oh, who are you? You appear to be strong, yet you dare to kill within my protection those who are helpless? By your dress, you pose yourself to be a godly man, a king, but by your deeds, you're opposing the principles of the twice-born Kshatriyas." Purport. The Brahmins, Kshatriyas, and Vaishyas are called twice-born because for these higher classes of men, there is one birth by parental conjugation, and there is another birth of cultural rejuvenation by spiritual initiation from the bona fide acharya, or spiritual master. So, a Kshatriya is also twice-born like a Brahmin, and his duty is to give protection to the helpless. The Kshatriya king is considered to be the representative of God, to give protection to the helpless and chastise the miscreants. Whenever there are anomalies in this routine work by the administrators, there is an incarnation of the Lord to reestablish the principles of a godly kingdom. In the age of Kali, the poor helpless animals, especially the cows, which are meant to receive all sorts of protection from the administrative heads, are killed without restriction. Thus, the administrative heads under whose noses such things happen are representatives of God in name only. Such powerful administrators are rulers of the poor citizens by dress or office, but factually they are worthless, lower-class men without the cultural assets of the twice-born. No one can expect justice or equality of treatment from once-born, spiritually uncultured, lower-class men. Therefore, in the age of Kali, everyone is unhappy due to the maladministration of the state. The modern human society is not twice born by a spiritual culture. Therefore, the people's government by the people who are not twice born must be a government of Kali in which everyone is unhappy. Jai Srila Prabhupada. So, Srila Prabhupada is emphasizing that a strong, spiritually cultivated leader, a king, is necessary to keep agents of Kali in check. He contrasts the majestic, authoritative kings of the past with the modern show bottle executive heads who fail to establish true justice. Prabhupada explains the meaning of twice born. The higher classes, Brahmins, which is intellectuals and priests, Kshatriyas, which is the royal order, administration, and the Vaishyas, the businessmen, merchants. And he notes that true twice-born men receive a second birth of cultural and spiritual rejuvenation through initiation by a bona fide spiritual master. The Kshatriya king is considered to be the representative of God, to give protection to the helpless and punish the miscreants. Kshatriya literally means one who protects others from hurt. The word is derived from the Sanskrit root kshat, which means injury or hurt, and tra, to deliver. Their primary duty is to protect citizens from all difficulties, maintaining law and order. Laws have no meaning without enforcement by actual punishment, not by issuing a strongly worded letter or holding a hearing. The ancient Greek philosopher Plato, who laid the foundational roots of Western philosophy, is quoted as saying this: "Good people do not need laws to tell them to act responsibly, while bad people will find a way around the laws." He argued that a truly ideal society relies on the wisdom and virtue of its citizens rather than a strict legal code. However, one may wonder, how can people choose goodness unless they understand what it is? What is the meaning of education if ethics and morality are no longer taught? Moral relativism has converted right and wrong to right and left, and this has created chaos and confusion. I used to think that lawlessness meant the absence of laws, but now we see that it is also the result of too many laws, randomly enforced depending on one's political affiliation. No one can expect justice in a courtroom where there are biased judges and hand-picked jurors. In the Nectar of Devotion, Qualities of Krishna Further Explained, Srila Prabhupada writes, "A person who can always put his enemy into calamities is called powerful." Maharaja Pariksit was simply doing his job by confronting the miscreant Kali. Lord Ramachandra describes a warrior's heart in this way. He says, "While he may be a warrior, he loves peace like other men. But misfortune and peril make him aflame with anger and resist." The miscreants have no shame. There's no reasoning with them. They'll do their abominable activities until you knock them down, put the handcuffs on them, and throw them in the police van. They're cowards, and they only appear powerful when attacking the helpless, such as a cow. But when a warrior stands up to them, they immediately surrender. Lord Shri Krishna says in the Bhagavad Gita, among men, I am the monarch. And we should always remember that when we speak of Krishna, we are referring to God. Right? A genuine king is a qualified individual, has the courage of his own convictions, and acts for the benefit of those in his charge whom he is protecting. The king chooses his learned advisors, but he is the one who makes the decisions, and he takes responsibility for the results. Of course, nowadays, the idea of a monarch is denounced as a tyrant. Authoritarian leaders are deprecated by the once respected news media, which has descended into a sewer filled with gossip, innuendo, and speculation from anonymous sources. Committees are now the preferred system of governing. They'll respond to your urgent request. We're working on it. We'll get back to you. Good luck with that. The prolific American inventor and engineer Charles F. Kettering experienced the bureaucracy and red tape often found in such group decision-making. And he said this, if you want to kill any idea in the world, get a committee working on it. Got that right. We often hear this, what is a committee? Richard Harkness is the one who said, a group of the unwilling chosen from the unfit to do the unnecessary. He observed political and corporate bureaucracies where members are sometimes chosen for the wrong reasons, avoid taking responsibility, and are assigned redundant tasks. After all, the inherent virtue of a committee is that no one is responsible for anything. Yeah, Srila Prabhupada's statement is confirmed. Prabhupada said, do not expect justice or equality of treatment from once born, spiritually uncultured lower class men. In the age of Kali, everyone is unhappy due to the maladministration of the state. I think he nailed it there. The administration is meant to protect those who are helpless. That means women, children, including the unborn, the elderly men, and animals. But now, even a baby in the womb of his mother is no longer safe. Abortion, which was once a rare occurrence, has now become an industry. How can one be Christian and pro-abortion at the same time? Labeling it in soft language like Planned Parenthood or women's choice or women's health, it doesn't change the fact that it's infanticide, the killing of a baby, an infant. In many places, this has become the new normal. And that's only one example of the anti-religiosity running rampant in a country that has "In God We Trust" printed on its currency, at least at the moment, because some in the administration have been working on removing that for a few years now. As we have noted before, according to Srimad Bhagavatam, God loves cows. Yeah? Goloka, Vrindavan. Yeah? The cow truly is the Lord's blessing on earth. In Bhagavad Gita, Srila Prabhupada writes in chapter 14, text 16 purport, a human being has no need to kill animals because God has supplied so many nice things. If one indulges in meat eating anyway, it is to be understood that he is acting in ignorance and is making his future very dark. Of all kinds of animal killing, the killing of cows is most vicious because the cow gives us all kinds of pleasure by supplying milk. Cow slaughter is an act of the grossest type of ignorance. That's Srila Prabhupada. Well, recently I discovered some facts about the history of the United States that made its current situation more comprehensible. It seems that the U.S. was practically founded on cow killing. I found this in Buttermilk Junction. Samuel Uncle Sam Wilson, the namesake for Uncle Sam, the iconic personification of the United States government. He lived during 1766 to 1854. Sam Wilson was a butcher, slaughterhouse operator, and meat packer from Troy, New York, who, along with Elbert Anderson Jr. of New York City, had a contract to supply the U.S. Army during the War of 1812. Now, according to legend, beef and pork barrels were stamped EA-US, indicating Elbert Anderson, United States. But many of the 6,000 soldiers stationed at Greenbush Army Camp were locals of Troy, and when they saw U.S., they remembered Sam Wilson, nicknamed Uncle Sam, who owned his meat packing business. The War of 1812 is the basis of the Star-Spangled Banner, the official national anthem of the United States, which was written by Francis Scott Key in 1814. The 87th U.S. Congress made it official in September 1961, quote, resolved by the Senate and the House of Representatives that Congress salutes Uncle Sam Wilson of Troy, New York, as the progenitor of America's national symbol of Uncle Sam. Steak, hamburgers, bacon, pork chops, practically religion in the U.S., since during the holidays, barbecue is the national ritual, and families unite around the grill. If cow slaughter is an act of the grossest type of ignorance, as Srila Prabhupada mentioned, then the revolting truth would be that such ignorance was rooted in the founding of the United States. As the age of Kali progresses, all good qualities of men diminish, and all impure qualities increase. Atheistic systems of so-called religion become predominant, replacing the codes of Vedic law. The kings become just like highway bandits. The people in general become dedicated to low occupations, and all the social classes become like Shudras or less than Shudras. A detailed description of Kali-yuga is given in Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12. Check it out. If you want some homework, you can read Srimad Bhagavatam, Canto 12, Chapter 2, texts 1 through 11. Well worth the time to read and understand where things are headed. Coming up, the personality of Kali will be asking for a deal from the chief amongst the protectors of religion, Maharaja Pariksit. Please fix some place for me where I can live permanently under the protection of your government. Kali is begging him. So thus, being petitioned by Kali, the king will give him permission to reside in places where gambling, drinking, prostitution, and animal slaughter were performed. But the personality of Kali asked for something more. And because of his begging, the king gave him permission to live where there is gold. Because wherever there is gold, there's also falsity, intoxication, lust, envy, and enmity. And so the personality of Kali, by the directions of Maharaja Pariksit, was allowed to live in those 5 places. Adam Smith, an 18th century Scottish economist who is the author of The Wealth of Nations, said this: mercy to the guilty is cruelty to the innocent. This is true. Well, one may wonder how Maharaja Pariksit was being merciful by releasing the personification of sin into the world. But Kali could only live where sinful behavior was already being done. He was not the cause. He was the facilitator and the result. The living beings taking birth in this age of quarrel and hypocrisy are carrying a lot of karmic baggage. That is, the desires and the results of their thoughtless actions in past lives. So this is the result. So in conclusion, government of the people, by the people, and for the people may sound good, But what if the most active people are demonic atheists? Ayn Rand seems to have nailed it in her book, Atlas Shrugged. She wrote this: when you see that in order to produce, you need to obtain permission from men who produce nothing, when you see that money is flowing to those who deal not in goods, but in favors, when you see that men get richer by graft and by pull than by work, and your laws don't protect you against them, but protect them against you, when you see corruption being rewarded and honesty becoming a self-sacrifice, you may know that your society is doomed. End quote. Well, we can opt out of this downward spiral by seriously taking to Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada gives us the best advice in Bhagavatam, Canto 1, Chapter 16, text 32-33, purport. Prabhupada writes, in this age, when everything is polluted by the contamination of Kali, it is instructed in the scriptures and preached by Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu that by chanting the holy name of the Lord, we can at once be free from contamination and gradually rise to the status of transcendence and go back to Godhead. The offenseless chanter of the holy name of the Lord is as auspicious as the Lord himself. And the movement of pure devotees of the Lord all over the world can at once change the troublesome face of the world. Only by the propagation of the chanting of the holy name of the Lord can we be immune from all the effects of the age of Kali. Great advice. So keep chanting. Keep listening to Srimad Bhagavatam and Bhagavad Gita, and you can't lose. Okay? So that's it for today's session. Thank you for listening. For ISKCON Hong Kong, I'm Sravaniya Dasi. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Shri Gaur Nitai ki jai. Hari Hari Bol.